This week, I'm going to start with a piece of advice for you. Don't buy a house with a large yard unless you're prepared for a large yard. I just spent this whole weekend working on my yard. Now, don't get me wrong, I don't mind having a big yard. It's kind of cool. But when I was in the market for buying my house, I really wanted something that wasn't as large. I just wanted something simple. I wanted to have a house that I could mow the lawn really quick and be done with it. But I got a yard that is so large I could take one of my houses and put it in my backyard. So I have enough space for 2 houses on my property. It's kind of ridiculous a little bit. But I also believe that God, in His providence, gave me the house. So I can't complain too much. So I'm working on the yard, and hopefully it'll be to a point where I can just leave it, mow, and forget it. But that's just a free piece of advice that I thought about, and I was like, I got to share it with you guys. But there's something that's been on my mind for a while now, and I just thought I'd share it with you. Now, I want to talk about Sunday morning. For me, for a while now, I have not really been resonating with going to church. Now, I like the people. I like my congregation. But there's just something about church that feels misplaced to me. And it's draining. Now, I could tell you right now, almost off the top of my head, how Sunday's service is going to go. It's going to start off with 2 to 3 songs. We're going to go into the announcements and greeting time, which is another, 5 to 10 minutes, depending on how chatty people want to be. And then we go to another 2 to 3 songs and then from there, it's going to go into the sermon. And the sermon's going to run about 20 to 30 minutes, depending on how long the preacher wants to preach. And then from there, there's going to be 2 to 3 songs afterwards, and then that's basically the Sunday service. Now, I sit there and I try to listen to the sermons, and I try to engage with the music, and there's just something that's missing for me, and I just can't figure out what's going on internally. Now, I try to listen to the songs and engage with the sermons, but for me, there's a distance between me and what's going on around me. And what's really frustrating is after every Sunday, I feel like I want a strong shot of whiskey, and I don't like whiskey. Now, for many people at this point in time, what they're going to do is, at least in my experience, they're going to go and try to look for another church, one that more resonates with them. But I have a problem with this internally for myself. I don't like the idea of church hopping. I feel like you're divorcing somebody because you don't like the personality quirks of the person. It's not that they're really bad, it's that they're just slightly annoying and you just can't quite mesh. I don't think that's a really good reason to leave a church. So I stay there. Now, on a side note, if the church is abusive and runs you down and it's just terrible, by all means, leave. But my church does try. It's not like they're purposefully trying to exclude me in some way. I just don't feel like I'm there or I'm a part of it. And part of me feels like this could be fixed if I just found my place within the church and I could use my gifts and my talents for the betterment of all. And I would feel like that might help, but I'm not 100% sure. The thing is, I feel like most of Christianity today, at least within the context that I live, has this problem. They're holding on to an old way of doing things. And I think that could be part of it why I don't quite fully engage with what's going on at church. I feel as if what they're doing is dead. And they don't realize it yet. And I'm just having trouble trying to find a way in which to engage them in a way that I can actually go like, hey, this isn't working. But I feel as if it is a dying faith. And for me, I really don't want to see it die. At least, I don't want to see parts of it die. It has to change though. For me, I want to see change happen. What we've tried in the past, what we've done before, just doesn't work anymore. This old path, I don't want to walk anymore. I don't want to see the death happen. I want to advocate for a change. I want to see a different life in the church. I think my frustration right now is I don't know what that path looks like. I see the old way. I see my frustration with how things are done and not being able to fully engage with the sermons and with the songs. But the old path is so easily walked that everybody just wants to walk it. And I want to walk a different path, one that is still keeping with the faith tradition, but giving up some of the older, culturally contained ideas about how things should be done. But what is that new path? If everybody's walking the old path and you want to walk a new path, you don't know how to walk on a new path because that path isn't there yet. You have to make that path. And I think that's one of my goals in doing this, is to start talking about what that path looks like for Christians. Giving ideas about how to become a different kind of Christian. One that abandons some of that old ideas about how Christianity is done, but walking a path that is different, but still in keeping with the gospel and with what Jesus wants. Now, here's the thing. I'm just myself. If you found something that's worked that you're like, oh, this is a great idea. This is a different direction for Christianity to go. Let me know in the comments. Maybe it's an idea, or maybe it's a book that you've actually read and you're like, this is a great book. Leave it down in the comments. I do have an Amazon account. I can buy stuff from Amazon. It's a great resource. That's just kind of my thoughts for the week. Just how I don't quite mesh with my faith and how I'm struggling with it. But this is YouTube, so do the YouTube thing. Like, subscribe, comment, share, and may God bless you this week.